Even if you're not into sports at all, I'm confident you've heard of the madness that just unfolded last night. The most stunning, out of nowhere, shocking trade in the history of sports, I believe, has just happened. Luka Doncic has been traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis. It sounds make believe. This is a more stunning trade than if the Lakers announced they were trading Austin Reeves for me, Charles White. Swear to God, I could have gone pro if not for this old trick knee. Point is, though, this is a trade nobody saw coming and nobody knew about. Luka didn't know. Nobody knew. It's not like Luka was asking for a trade. They just did this behind closed doors in the shadows and hushed whispers. This news broke while I was doing a watch party for the World Championship to support our Apex team, and when people were talking about it a little bit, buzzing, I thought for sure they had just fallen victim to the classic ball sack sports. I thought they had been sacked. This feels like a fake headline, and Luka to the Lakers has been a meme for probably close to 2 years now because it's so outrageous. It's so silly as a concept that it has become a joke until it wasn't. Now Luka is officially a Laker and Anthony Davis is a Maverick. Now I think by now a lot of you know this. I played basketball for 10 years, we've been on like a 5-month hiatus, but was still actively playing pickup games at least twice a week. And I've been keeping up with the NBA loosely. My team is the Heat. God bless. Lord have mercy. Point is, the reason I'm dropping my resume here like I'm interviewing for a job or I'm posting on LinkedIn is to let you all know that I understand just how big of a deal this fucking trade is and just how weird and wacky it is. No exaggeration, even Baba Vanga would have been powerless with this kind of prediction. There is nobody on the planet that would have expected this kind of trade. Because why would you trade Luka? He's 25 years old, the face of the Mavericks. He has put that team on his fucking back. He is a spring chicken in his prime. It's not like he's falling off and he's turning to dust before our eyes like he's, not able to compete at the highest level. He is still a generational talent performing unbelievably well. And yet they're just parting ways with him now instead of making him the franchise player that he is, really. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know what's happening at the Dallas Mavericks HQ. Maybe Leonardo DiCaprio's in there and he had a say saying, Luka's getting a little old now, guys. He hit 25. We got to kick him the fuck out. I don't really understand this decision. In the midst of all of this, people have pointed to a Mark Cuban tweet where he said, "If I had to choose between my wife and keeping Luka on the Mavs, catch me at my lawyer's office prepping for a divorce." And then people scratching their head wondering why he's singing such a different song now. I bet there are few people on the planet more heartbroken by this trade than Mark Cuban. When he got this alert on his phone, he probably fell to his fucking knees, slamming his fist on the ground and covering himself in tears in the middle of a TJ Maxx. Because I guarantee he did not want this. But people don't remember that Mark Cuban is no longer the one that has like the controlling say-so on the team. He sold his majority stake. So this was not a Mark Cuban decision, at least I don't think it was. This was a decision by someone who I think forgot they were in real life instead of a video game. This feels like something you do in like a management sim for a basketball squad where you just kind of fuck around and do some silly, outrageous shit. But yeah, I will say, I actually think Anthony Davis on the Mavericks is going to be pretty strong for them. I think the defense he brings to that team is going to be pretty helpful. But get ready to call me crazy. I know chat certainly did for this take. I don't see Luka being a great fit on the Lakers. As much as I like Luka, he is an offensive weapon of mass destruction, but on defense, he's sometimes a liability. I will say I think his defensive stinker reputation is a little overblown. You know, people talk about Luka's defense like it's wetter than this fart. And it's really not that bad. He's not the best defender, but I think he's fine. But I think the Lakers now losing Anthony Davis needs something more than fine defensively. But we will see. The Dallas Maverick GM came forward and said that the reason they wanted Anthony Davis this badly to trade Luka is because defense wins championships, which is a age-old saying I'm sure you've heard millions upon millions of times, but at the end of the day, it is true. It is true. Though in this case, I don't necessarily believe that you're in a better position now to win championships than you were with Luka on your squad. The Mavericks were just in the finals. Like, yes, they didn't win, but they could have. Like, they were a team that was capable of winning it all, and I don't think trading your franchise superstar for a defensive boost is the best call, but like I can see where it's coming from. Like I do think Anthony Davis will fit in well with the Mavericks, but I don't know if that makes the team overall better than they were with Luka. I do, however, think the Lakers don't really get much better with Luka, and I stand by that until I'm proven wrong. And then once I'm proven wrong, I'll be like, you know what? I was wrong for the millionth fucking time. It happens. But that's just how I think it's going to go down. Now, since we're already talking about sports, might as well just empty the whole load here. Let's talk about the upcoming Super Bowl. Chiefs, Eagles. For the first time in my life, I'm rooting for the Eagles. I was never a Chiefs hater. Even way back in the day when they had Priest Holmes as their running back, and that was like the best player they had. He was my fantasy football running back one year. I never disliked them. You wouldn't see me ripping my shirt off, twirling it over my head, going ballistic every time they won a game or anything like that, but I never disliked them. Even when Patrick Mahomes started to cook and they became this dominant force in the NFL, I still never disliked them. Until this year. Obviously the Chiefs are unbelievably good, but what makes them such a fucking headache to watch and make it so hard to cheer for them is the officiating that surrounds this team. It feels less like you're watching a sport and more like you're watching a show, because the Chiefs get some of the most outrageous calls ever. And the Chiefs themselves know that, which is why now they play into it a bit, with Patrick Mahomes trying to flop to draw a penalty. There was Kelsey attempting a little pseudo-flop as well to try and draw these penalties that are really just very pathetic. And they are always so impactful on the outcome of the game. Most recently with the Bills, where it was the worst spot ever, not giving the Bills that first down. Also, calling a very clearly not completed catch from the Chiefs a completed pass. And even before the Bills, what I think is the most egregious example of referee favoritism, and what I think is probably the referees being told that they should try and do a little something to help the Chiefs whenever they can, is that unnecessary roughness call a couple games back. I don't think I can play you the clips, but they are terrible calls. They're so bad that the commentators, the official commentators that are broadcasting this, are actively saying how much they disagree with it. So that unnecessary roughness call, they even said, "come on," and verbatim, I couldn't disagree more. Because they are terrible fucking calls. Like, that is something that wouldn't even be called in a flag football game, yet here in the fucking playoffs, it's getting called an unnecessary roughness penalty. And these are really important calls. Like, these calls, in a lot of cases, have decided games that usually the Chiefs end up winning from these fucking calls. So it's really frustrating. Even if you are the biggest Chiefs fan, you are kidding yourself if you try and say that they don't have a lot of questionable calls go their way. And I understand all teams will have that, but the Chiefs have so many of them at the most important moments of their games. It's not a coincidence. Like, I don't think it's scripted. I still fully don't think it's scripted, but I definitely think the referees are fucking corrupt. And I do think there is something there that says, hey, our Chiefs games pull huge viewership numbers. We want them to continue to advance because that's really good for our numbers. So do what you can to, maybe get us in that direction. Like, I do fully think that. Not to be like full conspiracy mode, but come on, there's no other explanation. They are awful calls. The commentators recognize they are awful calls, and they're not shy to say that too. Because people are just getting disgusted with it for obvious reason. Now, if this was my team, the Bucks, like if this was, let's say all of this was flipped on its head and the Bucks were getting these calls, yeah, I would be happy, but I wouldn't be trying to defend it either. I'd be like, yeah, they're playing favorites right now, and it's my fucking team on the receiving end. You'll love to see it. Like I would acknowledge that, but for some reason there are so many Chiefs fans that are just denying the reality of this obviously dog shit officiating that always seems to go the Chiefs' way. And they'll deflect saying things like, this is all a big conspiracy, a bunch of lies, you morons. Do you also believe in flat earth? It's like you all forgot. Week 4 of the regular season, when the Chiefs were up by 3 touchdowns, the refs called this bogus pass interference on the Chiefs that led to the opposing team getting a field goal. So clearly, everyone's victims of bad officiating, including us, the Chiefs. Like, it's stupid. Like, anyone with eyes can watch a Chiefs game, this playoff season in particular, and see that these calls are beyond questionable, and they are going the Chiefs' way very, very often. How weird. So yeah, I'm pulling for the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I would hate to see the Chiefs win it again. I really have become big-time Chiefs hater now, sorry to say. I still think the team is absolutely amazing. I think they are probably one of the best teams the NFL has seen since, of course, the Tom Brady dynasty with the Patriots, but I hate watching their games. I can't stand it. You're not watching a sport, you're watching a fucking show when you're tuning into a Chiefs game. And I don't like that as much. So yeah, that's about it for the sports talk today. See ya.